Okay, this is probably going to be the most important video that we have ever made on this channel. Finally get to the fantasy football playoffs and all hell breaks loose. So we have so many injuries, games rescheduled as if this is 2020. COVID just going through the league. Let's go through, let's talk about all of this, and it's going to be frustrating, but real quick, before we do that, I have to give out a very exciting announcement. We officially have a date set for the Fantasy Flock meetup. It's going to be in January. Let me go through and double check to make sure that I'm not going to give you all a wrong date here. I will say a couple things. A, if you are in Florida, you better be getting your butt down to Tampa, Florida to go to this Fantasy Flock Network meetup. That's going to be the first thing that I will say. And it's going to be January 15th at 3 p.m. I will be giving out an exact location probably next week. I just want to double check to make sure everything's going to be fine with that location. So please be on the lookout for that, but save the date, 3 p.m. January 15th. We are going to have the Fantasy Flock Network meetup. We've had some people asking, Mason, I know you say it's for people in Florida. Can I fly there? Hell yes, you can fly there. I just wouldn't ask for you to do that because obviously I don't want to ask for you to pay $300 to come to the Fantasy Flock Network meetup. But nonetheless, if you want to possibly win a trip down to the Fantasy Flock Network meetup, make sure you go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK. They're already flying down Rummy Rams because he won a contest on Underdog Fantasy. But if you go and you sign up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK and we hit 10,000 signups, which for the love of God, if you've ever enjoyed a video that we've made on this channel, if you like what we do here during the regular season, please support the channel by going and using promo code FLOCK. We were supposed to do our $1,000 bankroll challenge later today and looking at some of these player props, but not going to lie, I am not excited to do that because A, last week we lost a crap ton of money betting on player props. B, we are now officially in the red this season after being profitable all year. And C, because of all the injuries we are about to discuss, because of everybody being on COVID, the list of player props that they have this week, I mean, of course, they're going to be added on Sunday morning when we have a better idea of who's playing and who's not. But at this time on Saturday, you're going to tell that there are less options available to us than usual. So I don't know. Hopefully they add more on by the time we would have to make that video. Just so weird with this week having Saturday games and such. But I think that should be it for this live stream. Of course, we'll be answering questions in a live stream tonight. But right now, let's just go through and let's talk about these injury updates. And let's lead it off with what we are going to have in the rescheduled game. Let's go over to Washington, where looks like you have both quarterbacks on the COVID list for Washington. You have both Taylor Heineke as well as Terry McLaurin. Now, of course, that is frustrating. I'm sorry, Taylor Heineke and Kyle Allen both on the COVID list. It's frustrating, but we have a report saying that it should be a situation where Kyle Allen is good to go to start on Tuesday. This is going to be something that we have to continue to monitor. And of course, you're not playing Kyle Allen. It doesn't even matter if it's a super flex format, but we have to go through and we have to kind of figure out, are we going to be playing Terry McLaurin? Because Terry McLaurin is a wide receiver that y'all probably noticed we did not include in our top 30 rankings this week. But the reason for that is I didn't think he was going to play. Obviously, this is a player that suffered a concussion last week. And I mean, if you were looking at practice reports early this week, Terry McLaurin wasn't out there. And I was just assuming this was a wide receiver that was going to miss. But now that this game has been rescheduled to Tuesday, and also with the fact that, I mean, you may have Kyle Allen good to go, Terry McLaurin is at least into consideration here. Now, I would say I am most likely still going to be avoiding Terry McLaurin based on the idea that he has been A, very bad over the past 5 weeks, and B, we don't even know if we'll have Kyle Allen. Right now, reports are saying if Kyle Allen can go through and meet the minimum thresholds, which I don't even know what they are for the COVID list at this point with how fast everything's changing, but he could play. I don't want to hold out hope for that because even if Kyle Allen does play, are we that excited about Terry McLaurin? I am honestly probably going to go through and bench everybody in Washington outside of Antonio Gibson. And even with Antonio Gibson, I don't know how excited we can be because the spread on this game is pretty large between the Washington football team as well as the Philadelphia Eagles. Not only is the spread very large and you shouldn't have a lot of points scored by Washington, based on this game being pushed back to Tuesday, there's a chance that J.D. McKissic is back as well. And if J.D. McKissic is back as well, that's going to be taking a ton away from Antonio Gibson. So honestly, I think based on how just COVID has destroyed this team, why don't we just go through and why don't we just completely avoid Washington? I think maybe at this point, you bench Terry McLaurin, and with Antonio Gibson, you move him down to being a low-end running back too. And of course, a lot of y'all are going to have no option but to play Antonio Gibson. But I think we would be looking to pivot over if we can. And now our next update, we'll be going over to Adam Thielen, another player we did not include on our wide receiver rankings video because I was expecting that Adam Thielen wasn't going to play. Well, apparently, Adam Thielen is a game-time decision. Now, Adam Thielen has not practiced at all this week, so I'm still operating under the assumption that Adam Thielen won't be good to go. And what's frustrating here is Adam Thielen plays on Monday night, so you're not going to have the clarity for the game later today. You're not going to have the clarity for the game on Sunday if Adam Thielen will be available. But what this does and the impact this has is it makes both KJ Osborne and Tyler Conklin, way less appealing. In the case of Tyler Conklin, if you're desperate for a tight end, I think you can still go through and play him. But in the case of KJ Osborne, no, you have to go through and you have to bench KJ Osborne everywhere. You're definitely going to be able to find a better option. Now, Burkhead is going to be our next update, and he got back-to-back limited practices in. So I think at this point, when we were kind of teasing about Royce Freeman at the beginning of the week, Royce Freeman's nobody. Completely ignore him. Not going to be talking about that much longer. Mark Ingram is going to be back from the COVID list as well. Interested to see what this means for Kamara. Now, I'd say I'm not expecting Mark Ingram to have a very large role this week based on a couple things. A, Alvin Kamara is significantly better. Alvin Kamara looks to be fully healthy. And C, you have just Mark Ingram in a matchup that doesn't really suit him here going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You'd imagine that right now this New Orleans Saints team is going to be trailing the majority of this game. You can kind of look at the fact that this game has a spread on it of 11 points. So I think that with all that in mind, I would definitely bench Mark Ingram, but maybe you lower your expectations here a little bit on Kamara. And really quick, I forgot to throw up a poll in this live stream. If you have not dropped a like on the live stream yet, please go down there, drop a like on this live stream. I'd imagine that this is going to be able to help out a considerable amount of people. So please drop that like, help this get recommended to some new listeners. Okay, so now let's go to our next update. And I kind of hate y'all for this. Because earlier this week, we were going through and said, okay, Tyler Lockett on the COVID list, you have to go through, you have to play DK Metcalf everywhere. And people coming out going, oh, this guy's an idiot. This guy has no idea what he's talking about. Does he not even know that DK Metcalf hasn't practiced? Oh, of course, I knew that DK Metcalf hadn't practiced, but do you not know, Mr. YouTube commenter, that DK Metcalf, that's his new game time. That's his new weekly prep. His weekly prep is he's taking off the beginning of the week. DK Metcalf doesn't need to go to practice. DK Metcalf needs to make sure that he is fully healthy for the game that he's about to play on Sunday. So DK Metcalf got in a full session of practice on Friday. There's no concern at all for him to miss this game. However, it looks like Lockett may play now. So, I think that we have to go back and scale back our expectations on DK Metcalf. If Tyler Lockett is not to play, I understand it will be a tough matchup for DK Metcalf. But nonetheless, based on how, every target in this offense either is funneled through to Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf, and there's really nothing getting dispersed elsewhere. Yeah, you would expect a bump up and roll for Gerald Everett. Maybe Dwayne Eskridge can get on the field. Hopefully for those underdog best ball teams that we have. Dwayne Eskridge can pop off with a random long touchdown today. That would be pretty damn nice. But DK Metcalf, if Tyler Lockett does not play, you play DK Metcalf. It just hurts because we have no idea what the situation is going to be. Mike says Jake Paul knocks out T. Wood in the third round tonight. What's actually funny is that fight is happening. I can see the stadium from my apartment. I could see where that's happening, but of course I have no interest in that. And I would say if you think that the Jake Paul or whatever thing is interesting, I don't know why Underdog thinks it's interesting enough to put up player props on it. I think it's just a waste of time and you should not care about it. But if you want to go bet some lines, that's on Underdog Fantasy as well. Of course, you can find the link in the description of the video. Use promo code FLOCK, get that first deposit match $1 for $1 up to 100. But yeah, let's go to our next update. This is going to be Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell not going to play with Jeff Wilson here. I honestly think that you could go through and play him because it's a beautiful matchup this week going up against the Atlanta Falcons. There should be no worry at all about this offense possibly getting slowed down. No, I mean, the 49ers are going to be able to roll through here now. Of course, the real running back one in San Francisco at the moment is actually Deebo Samuel. However, and now it looks like Tony Pollard is going to be playing as well. Now, it's interesting in Dallas because reports are saying that Ezekiel Elliott hasn't been this healthy in a very long time. Reports are saying that Ezekiel Elliott will be fully good to go. But if Tony Pollard's going to be playing as well, I know Tony Pollard is definitely going to be limited in this game. I'm going to be a little bit worried about Zeke because obviously Zeke hasn't looked that great. I mean, at the same time, you had Corey Clement with more carries than Ezekiel Elliott this past week. I know it's a little bit of a unique situation. Now, it is a nice matchup. However, going up against the New York Giants, where you should expect that Dallas is going to be leading the majority of this game, they should be able to look to run the ball in the second half. I don't know, though. I think that we would probably still have Ezekiel Elliott as a low-end running back, too. Not going to be playing Tony Pollard at all. Now, going over to the quarterback position, looks like Jalen Hurts is going to be starting for the Philadelphia Eagles. And also, Miles Sanders will be good to go. But reports are also saying that Jordan Howard should be good to go as well. So based on that, I'm probably going to be avoiding every single running back in Philadelphia, expecting it to be a little bit more of a committee. But with Jalen Hurts, now you can go through and you can start him. This is a quarterback that got in just a full practice, not even on the injury report. Jalen Hurts, obviously not a great real-life NFL quarterback. I never said he was going to be a great real-life NFL quarterback. We were saying to go out there and draft him aggressively, not based on his real-life talent, but based on the rushing upside, because we've clearly shown how much of a cheat code that is in fantasy. And now our next update going to be going over to Detroit, where you officially have DeAndre Swift out this week, as well as TJ Hawkinson. Now, I am not going to be going through and starting Jamal Williams. You know, the first week that we had no DeAndre Swift here, I was saying, oh, we go start Jamal Williams everywhere. Yes, one of the worst offenses in the NFL, but if Jamal Williams comes out and he gets the 85% workload of his backfield, very similar to someone like David Montgomery, he can overcome a very bad offense. Well, we were wrong in that Jamal Williams came out and instead he only had half of the backfield snaps here. I think this is going to be a committee backfield for the Detroit Lions on one of the worst offenses in the NFL. You can't consider starting anybody, but who you can consider starting is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. This is a wide receiver that we were talking about starting last week, and I know he didn't come out and give you, the 25 fantasy points last week, but he still had, a very impressive performance, and clearly you saw why we were saying to start him a week ago, and that he has back-to-back games with 12 targets. Once you remove both DeAndre Swift and TJ Hawkinson in this offense, there are going to be so many targets available. Clearly, this team will be trailing the entire game against the Arizona Cardinals as well. Now, going over to our next update, going to be Hollywood Brown. Has an illness right now. Like you said, I don't know what's going on with the NFL, but with Hollywood, he did get in a limited practice on Friday. I know it's not a good matchup either against the Green Bay Packers. So if Hollywood Brown's not going to be 100%, and with Lamar Jackson also is looking like a game time decision. Lamar Jackson did get through a walkthrough on Friday. He was out there on Friday, but beyond that, you really haven't seen him at all with Baltimore. And it's a very tough matchup against the Green Bay Packers. One thing that I want to do is let me go through and look at the lines that we have for this week, because I was surprised to see earlier that, the spread on this game between the Green Bay Packers and Baltimore, it wasn't massive. It was like 5 points. Yeah, now it's moved a little bit to 7 points. Okay, 7 points is going to be a much more reasonable line. And I'd imagine that's probably baking in the idea that Lamar Jackson can possibly miss this game because the Ravens are at home as well. So I'm honestly probably going to be looking to avoid both Lamar Jackson and Hollywood Brown. The issue is, even if Lamar plays, so much of this offense is built around just the mobility of Lamar Jackson. He's not a Matthew Stafford quarterback. He can't just stand in the pocket and win with accuracy and win by picking apart the defense. No, he needs the mobility. That's his entire game here. So I would be looking to possibly avoid everybody in Baltimore. Obviously, Hollywood does have an elite ceiling. If Hollywood can get behind the defense, he only needs one reception to log in, say, a 30-point game. But I really think the only guy you can trust is Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is going to be a good option regardless who the quarterback is. And now our next update, we'll be going over to Los Angeles, where this game obviously rescheduled here. You have so many players on the COVID list. You got Odell Beckham Jr. on the COVID list. You have Tyler Higbee on the COVID list. What I would say is, with any of those players, the secondary options for Los Angeles that are on that COVID list. I know that they are going through and they're changing how you need to get cleared from COVID, and how I know some people are saying that Odell could make it back. Some people are saying that Tyler Higbee can make it back. If you have a player that you are not certain will be able to be good to go on Tuesday, why would you ever take that risk? Why would you ever go through and say, you know what, maybe Tyler Higbee is cleared from the COVID list. Maybe Odell Beckham Jr. is cleared from the COVID list. Yeah, let's play them on Tuesday. What the hell are you doing? No, if you have a comparable option, good to go on Sunday, you go through and you play that player. Like, say right now, you have both Hunter Henry and Tyler Higbee on your same roster, and you go, okay, Hunter Henry playing on Saturday night, Tyler Higbee not. Go through and play Hunter Henry. Like, what are we talking about? Okay, so now our next player is going to be Josh Allen, not on the injury report after so many people on Patreon all week going, what do I do if Josh Allen doesn't play? What do I do if Josh Allen? No, Josh Allen's going to play. Don't worry about that at all. Now, Josh Allen, interesting game that we are going to have going up against Indianapolis. I'm sorry, going up, I believe. No, not Indianapolis. The New England Patriots are going up against Indianapolis. I apologize. They're going up against, who the hell is Buffalo playing here? Okay, Carolina. Yes, Carolina. Oh, yeah, no, Josh Allen, you're going to go through and play him. I know Carolina does have a good defense. That's what we were kind of getting at. But nonetheless, the spread on that game is going to be 12 points. I don't think we need to be worried. Now, in the case of Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams, both running backs are going to be questionable, but both running backs should be fully good to go. I mean, every report that I read are saying that, oh, Melvin Gordon, he's going to see his usual workload. Oh, Javonte Williams going to see his usual workload. They should split this backfield 50-50 going into this matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals. And now our next update will be going over to Damien Harris, who's going to be out with a hamstring injury. With Damien Harris being out, fire up Ramondre Stevenson. I cannot wait. Y'all know how many of us in the flock have Ramondre Stevenson on those best ball leagues. I hope that you were able to sneak in a couple big dog, underdog teams into the tournament. We have 7 teams in that $250 tournament right now with $100,000 on top. We advanced that massive round 1. And I am so excited. We had Kelsey on 3 of those rosters, so it looks like we could be advancing to round 2 and have a real chance at $100,000, which of course would be awesome. I'd live stream that if it is going to happen. But I hope that you have Ramondre Stevenson on a couple of those teams, because it looks like Stevenson is going to be a 3-down bell cow running back at this point for New England. Obviously playing behind an elite offensive line. He kind of saw the upside that he had in the preseason as well. And now going over to Arizona, looks like both James Conner and Chase Edmonds are going to be good to go. They should both play. So I think that you probably go through, play James Conner. This isn't really sounding like it's going to be a Chase Edmonds game, knowing that, I mean, Arizona is probably going to be in a very similar game flow to what they had a couple weeks ago against the Chicago Bears, where if you remember, I mean, Kyler Murray, he only threw the ball, I mean, enough to get him like 170 passing yards, something of the sort. He's really not going to have to be dropping down to throw the ball very often. I mean, he's going up against the Detroit Lions. I think we probably take the first and second down grinder running back here in James Conner. And now Leonard Fournette, a player that I had a lot of conversation around him going, oh, is Ronald Jones a potential week winner here for the fantasy football playoffs? Trust me, on those big dog drafts, as we were discussing, where we got 7 teams into the final tournament, 3 of those teams have Ronald Jones, so I would have loved to see that happen. But nonetheless, looks like Leonard Fournette should be good to go. With Leonard Fournette, if he's going to be active, you play him. As we've said time and time again, Leonard Fournette going to be a 3-down bell cow running back and one of the most productive offenses in football. And now our next update will be going over to the Miami Dolphins side of thing. Another situation that's been discussed a ton here is Myles Gaskin, Salvon Ahmed. And I know that a lot of people are looking at this situation and they were expecting that, I mean, Duke Johnson. I mean, they were expecting Garrett Dokes. They were expecting Malcolm Brown to possibly be the starting running back here. I hate y'all for this again, because y'all are making me look like an idiot in the live stream 2 days ago, where we were saying, oh no, Myles Gaskin, he was on the COVID list long enough. We're expecting him to play this week. And we just acted like the entire week that Myles Gaskin was the starting running back here against the New York Jets. People were calling me stupid. People were telling me we weren't checking the news. People were telling me that we weren't paying attention. I hate y'all for making me second guess myself. Start Myles Gaskin everywhere you can in a great matchup against the New York Jets. And then also Michael Carter is going to be good to go in that same game. With Michael Carter, reports are saying he's going to see a large workload. I think you can play Carter based on his level of involvement in the receiving game. It's going to be a game where they're currently underdogs by, I believe, 9 points. I think you actually kind of like it now that Jalen Waddle is going to be out here for Miami, and that's going to be bumping up the role for Michael Carter. I think you can play Carter as a running back too. And speaking of Jalen Waddle most likely being out, that means you have to go through, you have to play Devontae Parker. Devontae Parker in a great matchup here, I believe, is going to be a top 20 wide receiver this week. Like if you say have Devontae Parker and you're holding out hope for someone like Odell Beckham Jr. to possibly play on Tuesday, why would you ever do that? Just play Devontae Parker. And really quick, let me see in the chat real quick if there are any players that I missed. I'm not answering start-sit questions here, as we said at the beginning of the video. I will be doing that in a live stream that comes out later tonight. I'll be trying to get that stream going before the game that we have tonight so we can answer any questions then. But if I missed any injury updates that y'all are interested about, please let me know in the chat right now. I'm not answering start-sit questions. And also, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the stream. We are about to pass 150 likes. Nothing supports this channel more. Go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK. Find the link in the live chat. Find that in the description of the video. I mean, I don't care about this at all, but if for whatever reason y'all want to go bet on Frank Gore, the boxer, which I didn't even know that was a thing. If y'all want to go bet on some video games, y'all can do that. But I mean, this is what I'm about. This is what we're going to be looking at. Up here is going to be the football player props. We can also get into a ton of drafts. Y'all have seen us doing a ton of drafts on Underdog Fantasy as well. Sign up through the link in the description. Kyler at 265 passing yards. Yeah, so I guess Underdog's Fantasy is not expecting that Arizona's going to have to throw the ball very often either. But nonetheless, go sign up and use the link in the description of the video or in the comment section and get your first deposit match dollar for dollar up to $100. Okay, so I believe that we have covered everything. People coming out saying, Jeremy says, how does Waddle being out help Michael Carter? Because the game's going to be closer. If you look at the Vegas line, once Jalen Waddle was moved out, the line was moved from 11.5 to 9.5. I'm sorry. Yeah, 11.5 to 9.5, buddy. You kind of want a competitive game if you're going to be starting a running back. You don't want that team to be down by 14 points. So that's how it helps, big fella. Okay, so now let's go through, and I believe J-Rob says, Frank Gore fighting tonight, baby. He's fighting a basketball player. Who the hell is he fighting? Williams. Deron Williams. I don't know who that is. I don't really care. Okay, it looks like we've covered everybody that is going to be currently injured. Thank y'all all for coming out to the live stream. Of course, we'll be live streaming again tonight, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. And I think that's all I got. Really wishing everybody the best of luck here. Hope you have a great day. Hope we see you out in the live stream tonight.